So, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like he's going after it. Trump is going after Denmark. Not Denmark, he's going after Greenland and pissing off Denmark in the process, pissing off NATO in the process. This is actually really good and really smart. Before Trump got into a second term, they made a rule change that you had to have 2/3 of the Senate to vote in order to get out of NATO. NATO is a strategic liability for the United States. It ties us militarily to European politics. And Europe is not going to be in a good situation. Europe's demographics suck really bad. They're even worse than they are here in the United States. And you imported millions of so-called refugees, or not refugees, into Europe. And that's going to create all kinds of problems. We don't need to be tied to the hip to this problem. Europe is going to increasingly become more and more of a liability unless they start to take care of their own countries and apply logic and common sense, right? So, NATO is a globalist institution. You look at like other globalist institutions, like the European Union, that could not come into being unless all the countries are militarily on the same side. Without NATO, there's no European Union. If all these other countries have to build up their own militaries and protect their borders, you can't get them to cooperate on the level that the EU would have to get them to cooperate. You got to remember what the EU is. It's not a fiscal union. It's a monetary union for political purposes. It's a globalist institution. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's not the European project, whatever. They're trying to, the euro, does the euro compete with the US dollar? Absolutely not. I mean, you look at what happened in Cyprus during their last banking crisis. They did a bail-in. They used depositors' money to secure the banks there. So nobody is using the euro for a reserve currency. And they're about to not use the dollar either, if you're paying attention to gold and silver prices right now. But anyway, that's a side note. Without NATO, you don't have a European Union. You can't get everybody on the same side militarily. France and Germany have very different aims. France is sort of a hybrid naval land power, and it historically has built empires to get resources to bring it back. Same thing with the Brits. The Brits are a naval power, and that's what they did. They had the sun doesn't set on the British Empire. Germany is a land power. Germany is a country that has to be very efficient with everything. It uses its position in the center of Europe to trade and touch everybody around them, but they don't have anything left to build a navy with, right? Because you have to build this huge army, you have this industrial plant. Germany is always behind. If you look at history, Germany never had the empire, like global empire, like France and Britain did. So these are very different countries, very different geopolitical aims. And without NATO, you can't have all these people put on the same side. You can't have globalists in charge of these countries without NATO. So when the United States, Trump, pushes the Greenland issue, that puts a lot of pressure on NATO. And NATO may very well fall apart. Without a NATO, there's no European Union. There's no globalists in charge of Europe. The Europeans can finally start getting their countries back. Europeans right now are angry they feel disrespected. It kind of stokes some nationalism in Europe over this issue. But I promise you'd be a lot better off. NATO sounds like a good idea on the surface, but that is a globalist army, okay? It's not a German army. It's not a French army. The respective countries need to think, okay, we can't depend on an alliance of any other country. What do we need to do? Well, maybe we should import, hundreds of thousands of third world population. Maybe we shouldn't send our industrial plant to other countries like Germany did. Maybe we need to work more than 20 hours a week like you do in France. I mean, they have like 20-hour work weeks. So common sense will return to Europe with the dissolution of NATO. And this is, I think, the whole purpose behind the Greenland push by Trump.